Warning! The voices heard in this video are made synthetically using artificial intelligence. Nothing in this video reflects anything actually stated by the real-life individuals involved. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and serious political content will be avoided for that purpose. Enjoy.
Good greetings. The goated gents gather in this ghastly gallow to goad the final act. Welcome back, viewers.
It's been over 30 hours of gameplay, and we finally get to go to the mage section of the gallows, and it looks like Guantanamo Bay fucked Hogwarts.
And it's still too good for the robes anyways. Joe, shut up and don't ruin this for me. I finally get to sit down with Mommy Meredith one-on-one. It's practically a dream date. My body has never been so ready.
Well, it's not one-on-one. We have the original squad with us, and I am the one meeting her. But sure, Donald, let's go with that. Also, I am going to rock the Mage Warden armor today, since we have been wearing the champion armor for a few episodes, and I just want to mix it up. We are definitely going to rock the champion's armor for the final, so we might as well let another armor get some screen time. Anyways, I brought Varric here for a very specific reason, since he is able to identify the lyrium from the statue better than the rest of us. But here we are staring at it right in front of us, and he doesn't notice anything.
Well, that's easy to explain. It's because it's not glowing right now. Without the glow, how the hell are we supposed to know what it is that could be a stick of red taffy?
20% right as usual, Joe. The actual reason is clearly because everyone is too distracted by Mommy Meredith's aura.
All right, I don't know what either of you two are on about, but I'm guessing you are just spitballing the same reasons the Bioware writers wrote. Ultimately, though, why we don't recognize the sword isn't as important as the fact she has been huffing the sword for damn near a month while we have been doing the DLC montage. So Hawk didn't do her any favors for booming her mental.
It doesn't really matter because crack lightsaber or no, she is speaking nothing but facts. The filthy robes escaped to sell blood magic and crack to inner city kids, and now we have to put a stop to it.
Or counterpoint, they were just tired of getting flogged, touched and tortured daily by all the Templars in the gallows, and just went for a little fresh air.
They are mages in Kirkwall. I bet after their second breath of fresh air, they were already making a deal with a desire demon to make Epstein's Island Mage Edition.
On translation, the people don't like how my military has taken over the city after saving it from a different military trying to take over the city. Let's see what happens if we exercise our right to choose in this role-playing game.
If I suspect that is no longer the case, then I may decide your status needs to change.
Translation, do what I say, or a lot of Templars are going to die attempting to wrangle Hawk into the circle.
All right, I love Meredith, but sending any Templar to try to capture Hawk is like sending regular Marines to capture Mihawk.
Now, even if you threw enough Templars at Hawk to capture him, it would be political suicide for you. The people love Hawk, whereas most everyone, but the Templars are just afraid of Meredith. Also, for those of you curious, if you are a warrior or rogue Hawk, and have Bethany in the circle, Meredith will threaten her instead. If Bethany is dead or in the Warden, she will then threaten Meryl and Anders, which could be the strongest or weakest threat, depending on if you romance them.
If my cutie patootie even left her mouth, I am airing out this entire gallow, no hesitation.
She can threaten me anytime, boys. Also, it's interesting she is actually giving us a choice here on what to do with the mages. You would think she would just tell us to curb stomp them and be home by dinner.
That's obviously what she would prefer. But she has been the Knight Commander for 16 years. She at least has a concept of how to be political. Anyways, this isn't the first main quest Dragon Age 2 has forced down our throats, so let's go see who we have to round up.
The fact she has a tranquil assistant already tells me everything I need to know about her. However, given the fact she is a woman. In a tranquil, I am more so concerned about her safety in the gallows than anything else.
Who the hell cares if she has a tranquil assistant or a regular robe assistant? At least the tranquil has a job and a purpose. She even gets a sick face tattoo while doing it.
I swear to God, keep this shit up, Orange Man, and I am about to give you a sick face tattoo as well.
So isn't this whole quest a direct tie-in to the revolutionists that we learned about last episode during Sebastian's Quest Berry? I imagine all three of the escape mages were at least partially affiliated with them.
That's almost certainly the case. But it's all cut content now because Act 3's main quest are so short if I wanted to, I could rapid fire my way to the finale during this episode, since Act 3 was the biggest victim of that 16-month development cycle. What we do know is Sebastian's quest deals with a resolutionist plot that threatens the Grand Cleric and wants to see the mages free. Cassandra was even supposed to be sent to investigate this. We also know both Act 3 main quests have to deal with unrest in the circle and both mages, and Templars trying to escape and overthrow Meredith. With all that in mind, I can safely imagine the original plot of Act 3 was going to be instead of mages versus Templars, it would have been revolutionists versus the Circle. Just like in Act 2, we still would have had the massive conflict between the mages and Templars. But now you would also be fighting to either maintain the circle or fight with the revolutionists to free the mages. This would have made more sense, as fighting for a principle is better than fighting for a person, since both sides with mages. Or Templars, the representative of both, is pretty terrible.
Now one side has an elven blood mage who is scared of picking sides and sucks at his job, and the other is great at her job and had to be nerfed by red lyrium. Gee, I wonder who the obvious choice is.
Not sure if you are cooking with this berry, but anything that gives Act 3 a little more flexibility like Act 2 would have been far more peak. Before we go into a massive rewrite, though, we should talk a bit more about this quest, because the last mage's story here has a pretty sad story.
Well, they better pull out all the stops, because so far we have an elf and a French dude, both of which are curb-worthy.
So the first point about Evelina is that she was from the Ferelden Circle and escaped during the Blight. We don't know how she did this. It's very unlikely she made an escape attempt after the Jowan escape, so it's likely she was a Ostengar deserter or survivor. Otherwise, we have to believe she was saved by POTUS and still decided to flee the country.
All right, so far this isn't endearing me to her, and if she slided POTUS, it's on sight.
Well, hold up, Donald. Unlike almost every other mage who tried to escape, she had no plans of leaving the Circle. She just assumed the Blight was going to destroy Ferelden, and she wanted to live. She rescued a group of children along the way and sailed to Kirkwall, where after setting them up in Darktown, she turned herself in freely to the Circle, hoping that, like Ferelden, she could work while in the Circle and make money for her found family. Meredith, however, branded her an apostate and put her under heavy guard for 7 years.
So she came back after having no intention of leaving the Circle. That sounds like a loyalist to the Circle to me. She just didn't want to die in war. Can't fault her there.
Well, if she is such a loyalist, then why the hell does she care so much about a little containment? If she wants to follow the rules, then let's follow all the rules, not some of the rules. At best, that means she is like the mage grandma, which isn't endearing me to her because this one doesn't have an overpowered class. Besides, the tranquil girl said she killed a bunch of Templars already who tried to detain her. You want me to feel bad for a killer of base Templars?
She was doing that because the Templars were coming for her and her kids, Donald.
It's not worth it, Joe, but that doesn't mean we can't still talk about it. The Templars did try to take her in front of her children, because that's why we are going over to these guys to find out where she is.
I don't even know what her plan here was. What good-paying job could she get in the Circle that could buy property out of Darktown? Her plan was so unthought out, we might as well put her down. Besides, the tranquil girl said she was the most dangerous of the apostates. Now that she has gotten a taste of Templar blood, she won't stop.
It's time we pull Aldred and kill some Ferelden mages, boys.
Well, I guess you two are going to get your wish after all, since she is possessed now. Since demons have a 6 gig connection to any distressed mage in Kirkwall.
It's interesting that they say that she ran after the fight with the Templars. I wonder if it's common for possessed people to still have some control, or if that's a reference to Origins when Connor was possessed.
The kid is going to rat to the robe. We need to put them down before word gets out.
Well, either way, we have to go to the sewers to track her down, since just like every demon huddles around mages to possess them, mages similarly huddle around the sewers of Darktown. It's to hide seriously. Anders is here and has an underground in the sewers. Gascard hid in Darktown if we spared him, and now Evelina is here.
More reason we need to start a crusade against this entire damn area of Kirkwall. And to cement that crusade, viewers, we can reignite the Dragon Age drinking game. Take a shot, viewers, because this is the same sewers we have seen since Act 1.
Jesus, Donald was just waiting to bring back the liver poisoning after the DLC era. Gave us a break. And speaking of Dragon Age, 2 cliches, the Demon Home Defense System is still alive and well in Act 3, boys.
Yeah, but now we are full of DLC equipment, as well as the fabled return of the Dragon Age 2 double haste buff, so this is easy money, boys.
Yeah, we are way over leveled now for this quest. But while we kill the Demon Home Defense System, we might as well go over what we have planned for the rest of the series for the viewers. You want to go over the plan, Barry?
Oh, gladly. So viewers, as we have droned to death by now, Act 3 is incredibly short. The biggest chunk of content is the 4 side quests I already took care of in my last episode, and the companion quests. Because of that, the next 3 episodes, including this one, are going to be fairly short. We figure to try to even it out, we each do 1 main quest and 2 companion quests of our choice. And to keep the pattern going, we already know what companions each of us are choosing. So after On the Loose is done, I am going to tackle my girl Eveline's quest and close out her arc in this game. Then I will tackle Anders' companion quest, since I was relegated to do everything else vengeance related anyway.
Viewers, you already know what quests I am doing, but if for some reason you have missed my last couple of episodes, I am going to do my beautiful Pirate Queen's quest, and then the based mage hater Fenris's quest. After that, I will tackle the only other main quest, best served cold, in order to save Mommy Meredith. I was originally going to curb stomp the mages in On the Loose, but apparently Obama needed to do this quest, or otherwise no companion quest would be available to us, so we were somewhat soft-locked at the moment.
Yeah, it's just one of those scripting constraints, I guess. But after that, viewers, I am going to tackle Varric's side quest, then, of course, my Cutie Patooties Act 3 quest, which will be a nice dramatic ending to our series. Also, since Donald and the viewers have been so hard about me tackling a secret boss in this game, I am going to take on the other secret demon boss, Hybris, during my episode. 2 of the scrolls can be grabbed during Meryl's quest anyway, so it all ties together.
Viewers, he was trying to dump that quest on me too, but after Obama admitted that my DLC was harder than his, I told him to fuck off and prove his first place standing in the rankings.
Okay, ladies, calm down. Both of your DLCs were very hard, and you are both very impressive for taking them on. Anyways, viewers, that is our roadmap. More so, we still plan to each take the final episode in sections, so each of us have one more chance to play as well as die before the death competition ends for 2. But remember, the full competition for Inquisition carries over all the deaths from the previous 2 games. Dragon Age 2's competition is just for the best waifu in the series.
Speaking of the death competition, Obama, looks like you are about to get one here. Your muscle mommy is burning alive, and all you have left are the 2 mages who are going to get their ass eaten by the demons.
Nope, not even close. That's why this party composition is so strong. Having 2 healers and double haste makes nothing we do have any consequences.
I don't know what's more abhorrent here, the fact that you have 2 automatic revive fuck-up buttons, or the fact that the rage demon just dipped halfway through the fight and let you kill all of his guys.
Well, cutting ahead, looks like we found the orphans again. I guess they are immune to the home defense system that Evelina put in.
I mean, this is obviously their home. Of course, they would be immune to the security. Anyways, one additional note about Evelina that is confusing is that you can meet her in Act 2 begging on the streets in Darktown asking for money for her children. You can give her some silver, but it has no impact on this quest. Since she is possessed, she won't recognize you.
Wait, that means she escaped 3 years ago and just stayed in Darktown all this time? I thought the breakout was recent. Also, how the hell did she appear where we already came from? Was she hiding in the corner?
Remember, Donald, every mage gets access to teleportation besides the players.
The breakout couldn't have been 3 years ago. The other 2 stories don't make sense in that context. Evelina must have escaped on her own because of the shitty treatment. And the Templars decided to double down on finding her after the big escape happened. Honestly, I could also believe whoever placed her there in Act 2 made an error.
Typical robes blaming the rich and the Templars for their own shortcomings. Go ahead and introduce Mommy Demon to the curb.
Well, I won't say I will gladly do this, but abominations only have one place to end up, and it's back to the fade sequences where they came from. Also, to add another notch to the Obama obscure observations, whatever she was possessed by can transform into abomination. Then a rage demon, then a desire demon, which is something we really only see by the sloth demon in Origins in the Fade.
Obama, stop trying to randomly bring back the obscure observations title that shit is not catching on.
Yeah, I nearly took a critical hit from the cringe levels when he said it. I bet he paid our editor another $10 to put in the moving title too. Just stick to telling the people to like and subscribe for weekly content, Obama.
All right, whatever. Thanks for supporting a friend again, dickheads. But yeah, viewers, please do like and sub if you want to stay up to date. It does help a lot. Okay, well, Varric. And Hawk carried just like they always do, proving they are an unstoppable duo both in and out of game. Now that she has taken care of viewers, don't forget to loot the chest at the end of the room here. It has a Rune of Devastation schematic which improves all damage sources from the weapon. A really strong late-game enchantment that would have really helped with the DLC missions.
Oh man, I sure do feel great about killing the guardian of these orphans. If only the Circle had some form of compromise that let her stay in the Circle. But still help the orphans earn money.
Now you are sounding like the healer robe, and since we are bringing him to every quest and doing his Act 3 quest today, I guess I need to get used to his soapbox this episode.
Well, Anders has the most unique dialogue and even has his own interrupts that change the story here slightly. Unsurprising since the topic is mages. And 2 out of 3 of these situations wouldn't happen if Meredith's rules weren't so oppressive. Let's give these 2 1 or 2 gold for food and move on to the next target in the Alienage boys.
Oh boy, we brought my cutie patootie for the extra dialogue to help us out.
You know the fact that this guy got captured by the Templars. But Meryl has been immune to being captured despite living here for 6 years. And openly experimenting on elven artifacts can only be explained by the Templars being afraid to fuck with Hawk.
So one of the robes is a Darktown beggar, and another is an elf from the Alienage who is neighbors with the blood mage waifu. You 2 still wonder why I don't associate with pores after playing this game with me.
You say that, but this game has been about a former noble family that is full of mages, where one mage rose to become the most important person in the city, and whose cousin had the potential to be the hero of Ferelden.
Our player characters and Mommy Morgan don't count when I say kill all mages sleepy. So my point still stands. I see what you're saying about the mage breakout, though, since this is the dude's whole wife and he never came to her until a couple of weeks ago. So there's no way he has been broken out for years like Evelina.
Girl is the most loyal wife in the series. I am amazed she didn't try to get a divorce. Or something after 10 years being married to someone who is locked up in the circle and having to survive on a single elf income.
A divorce isn't actually recognized by the Chantry. It's one of the few harsh medieval facts of the setting. A marriage can be annulled, but I doubt the Chantry would care about annulling an elven marriage. Also remember that marriage among city elves is usually arranged by the parents, so it's not a matter of love. It's likely she is in this marriage because she has no other option but to stay.
Well, still, she looks pretty beaten up by the fact that he has been gone for so long. She clearly has some feelings.
Wasn't Callian being encouraged to divorce Honora by Aemon because she wasn't getting pregnant? How does that work?
Well, he's the goddamn king. What the hell is the revered mother supposed to do, say no?
All right, fine, fair point, and he was trying to marry the empress who rules the country the divine is in. I doubt there was anything either of them could do about it. We would have had a return to King Henry VIII in Thetis.
Well, this nice girl can't get divorced, but we can take her crazy husband out and give her the Skyrim method to get divorced.
Oh, thank God, we are finally in agreement to curb stomping an elf mage. I almost forgot why I even agreed to play this series with you two.
Joe, I appreciate the energy, but this is unlike you. Do you just want her husband dead, so this girl is single?
No comment.
All right, then, well, she is scared that he has changed anyway, so there's no real debate. We need to take this guy down. He is probably the current mascot for a typical Dragon Age 2 blood mage, as we are about to find out why.
Mom, I threw up.
All right, for once the creepy-ass model for the elves works, this dude looks like a diddler. And why the hell is this girl not only staring at him, but now going to approach him after he looked at her like that? Get this girl out of the alienage and into horror movies, she would do great.
He clearly cast blood control on her, Donald. You didn't see the little blood swirl he summoned?
Okay, so Mage Defenders explain why the robes deserve freedom when we have this store-brand Dexter serial killer running loose.
When we say mages deserve freedom, we don't mean Huon. Or Quentin Donald, this dude has clearly lost it.
Yeah, this is our Templar fuel for this mission, Donald, if you couldn't tell. Huon is the exact reason why I think the Circle and Templars still need to exist. Shit like this shouldn't happen. And if we just abolish the Circle with no restraints, it would enable evil like this. Don't worry, though, we are about to make him bite the curb and steal his Jordans.
Hell yeah, Obama. Let's see you kill an elf instead of fucking one.
That's just for Nissa, you ball-headed blood mage.
All right, tell him how you really feel, boys. Well, one last detail about this guy is that Huon has a tattoo of the dwarven character for C, which is the popular brand for castless dwarves. I don't know if the designers thought brands were just for poor people, or that the mark just looked cool, but I guess Huon stands with the castless.
Either that or this dude just really likes dwarves. Either way, it's not stopping this poor from meeting the rest of the elves in hell. Anyways, this fight is basically the exact same as the Evelina fight, but with a blood mage this time. So do you have a comment question prepped for us, Obama?
Yeah, one actually just came to me when we were talking about Huon. So viewers, there's obviously a lot of very evil characters in the Dragon Age series. But who do you think is the most evil character? I'm talking just a downright depraved bastard that only deserves one fate. But I have to go with Branka, if for no other reason than she betrayed the people closest to her, even her own lover, to get what she wanted. What really sells me on my choice, though, is she gave up the woman of her expedition to become brood mothers. And all the horrors that come with that decision simply so she could reach the anvil and sacrifice more people to accomplish her goals. She likely did all of this just so that she wouldn't lose her statues or fame as a paragon for failing in her search for the anvil. She is someone who believes she can't be wrong, something that we see when she wages war on the kingdom regardless of who is in charge.
All right, not a bad pick. Obama and mine should be obvious to anyone who has watched Origins for more than 3 seconds. Hao is the biggest pile of shit in the entire series, and killing that evil shithead is the most satisfying moment in our series so far. He betrays the comrade that lifted him up both during the war and beyond, someone who considered him a brother and stabbed him in the back and executed his entire goddamn bloodline for good measure. Then he kneels down and becomes a servant to the king of war criminals, Loghain, and does every evil and fucked up thing that Loghain isn't willing to do, also that he can gain a few more titles under his belt. He doesn't do evil for the better of all or because he had a hard life. He does evil because he desires more power, and that's the lowest of the low boys. I'm sure all of my human noble mains will agree with me on this one, since Hao is at the top of their shit list.
Not bad picks, boys. As for me, I would have to go with Sir Alric, I know. In terms of evil feats, he isn't as bad as Branka and Hao. However, the fact that he preys on the weak and helpless by abusing his position of power feels extra insidious. Just like the situation with Vaughn, what Alric does sits with them, Not just for the gravity of his actions, but because the situation he is in feels more real. We often don't see obvious supervillains that try to take over the world like Howe or Branca. But someone like Alric or Vaughn, who abused the power they were given, is something we see in our world all too frequently. And that relation to evil makes it the worst in my eyes. Now, to wrap this up with our featured comment from last episode. Our featured comment comes from Xavier the Simmer, who sided with my choice of the Hawk sibling returning, but with an interesting twist that instead of them being a normal squad mate, they would instead be the representative of either the mages, or Templars, or even more interesting, be the Warden representative instead of Stroud, which would have meant that we would have had to choose between the two Hawk siblings during the Nightmare fight. While I don't think that would have been as dramatic as choosing between Hawk and Alistair, and I think most people would have picked Hawk in that situation, it would have been an intense moment. For Hawk personally, he likely would have wanted to sacrifice himself in order to not have even more survivor's guilt after losing everyone else in his family. So for that reason, I have to say you were cooking a goddamn gourmet meal.
All right, thank you, Joe. And now that Huon is dead, and we have the champion boots and fell poison recipe off his corpse, we can move on to the third and final escaped mage, the Orlesian noble.
God damn it, this is the most pleasant conversation we have had all episode, but it's with the French, so I already hate it.
Yeah, after Mark of the Assassin and seeing Isolde again, I am already suffering from French fatigue. There's a reason I avoided her at the party, boys.
I don't blame you without doing this quest first. There's no interesting dialogue that she has at the chateau. She just bad-mouths our mother passive-aggressively, since she still has beef with her once being betrothed to her now husband before she met Malcolm. I know most people don't care about this lore we are known for being thorough, so we will still get into it now. The Comtesse actually has 3 children, her son, who is a mage that escaped the circle, and 2 daughters who attend the chateau party with her mother. The daughters are all as insufferable and dramatic as their mother, and she believes none of them will ever marry or give them grandchildren.
Oh, Wright isn't one of the daughters, the girl who teases the Ferelden band about his knickers.
How the hell do you remember that of all things, Joe?
Yeah, not surprising you wouldn't recognize him, Donald, since you weren't in our Liana's Song special episode. But the band at the chateau that the Dulancets insulted was actually the same band we attacked at the Daenerys markets and stole his underwear to plant on the guard captain, which is why they reference where his knickers are. And before you ask, no, we have no idea what he is a band of. But I imagine it is a sect in Daenerys or on the outskirts of the city.
I wasn't going to ask because I don't care about the basic Bard's bonus DLC. But thanks for talking about it anyway. Let's link that episode up here to improve that YouTube algorithm. Anyways, that's 2 shameless plugs this episode, so I think that's our limit. Is this Ned Flanders looking triangle really the dude that could have been our dad? I hate to say it, but Mama Hawk picked the better choice with the broke robe.
Ironically, since the Dulancets have a mage child anyway, the Emels would have had a high chance of a mage child anyway, it seems. And then maybe we would be the guy banging whores and getting drunk in the Hanged Man.
To be fair, Hawk already does that regularly anyway. We have bought a lot of drinks from Corf over the years while listening to him talk about Shale and other Ferelden hijinks. I'm sure our mother's genes would have kicked in and made Hawk a little more base than this guy is.
I know Bethany would have preferred being a Dulancet over a Hawk that girl loves pretending to be a noble and smashing nobles like Sebastian. Also say the line, Bart.
The Hanged Man. Oh, but that place is filthy.
To be fair, the Hanged Man isn't that bad compared to other fictional taverns. Besides the occasional bar brawl, poison dealer, and rambling man, it's a downright nice place to be.
If it's good enough for the squad, then it's good enough for us. Anyway, before we go save a drunk mage, we have one more detour in the Dulancet Manor, since there's a pretty valuable treasure room in here.
Oh wait, this is actually a map that we can explore and run around in. This is peak content, boys.
I'm worried about the answer, Donald, but pray tell, why is running around here such a good thing?
Because this is another repeated noble mansion map. It's the same as Fenris Manor, so take another shot, viewers.
You should have seen that one coming, Joe, but anyways, in the back room here there is a master trap that requires 45 or more cunning to disarm, and chests with random leveled loot, as well as a Kunari sword for the Lost Swords quest.
How our viewers are probably looking if they followed through with Donald's drink competition of death.
Nah, our viewers all build Constitution. They will be fine. The bigger question is, how did the Templars miss this balding bastard for so long, especially since he has been bragging about being a blood mage for so long?
Anders very blatantly didn't answer the question either, so we are left with 2 specific choices as to how he has avoided capture. Either the Templars are so strapped trying to take control of the city from the guards and losing their own guys to the revolutionists and the like of Evelina, or the Templars are really that incompetent.
Don't discredit the valiant Templars just because they need to blow off some steam. They are literally working around the clock trying to take out the blood mage invasion that has plagued Kirkwall for centuries, as well as trying to maintain order around the city regularly since the city is out of a Viscount. Also, did this guy really pretend to be a blood mage to score? What in the Beavis and Butthead plotline is this?
So no shade on the white boy, trying to catch a vibe in the hanged man. But is bragging about being a blood mage in Kirkwall even that interesting? There's a blood mage in every other corner in this city. Hell, we have been taking out blood mages all day this episode. And that's a moderate day in Kirkwall.
Hey, you said it, not me?
Hearing the fact this dude spent his entire conscious life in the circle makes me realize how fortunate Connor was to at least get a childhood before getting shipped off. I mean, hell, even Vengeance the Crusader for mage oppression wasn't captured by the circle until he was 12. So he at least got most of a childhood.
And yet the healer robe acts like he was ripped out of his mother's womb and sent to the circle. Just food for thought next time you all rush to the defense of the mages. Not all of them have a sappy backstory like you might believe.
I'm not going to bash Anders too hard. His dad, like many others, was an absolute piece of shit. This guy, however, does deserve a win for once he just wanted one night where he can live like a normal guy.
Speaking of miracles, however, we have a bigger one in front of us. Isabella found standards.
Give him a hand, Isabella.
You don't mean... No. No!
First, you two Democrats tried to give her to the Canary. Now you are trying to sell her off to the French. This unfair treatment of the pirate queen will not go without notice. You two better hide your goddamn addresses.
Isabella refused an easy lay with a virgin. I guess that confirms she isn't Bonnie Blue level after all. Anyways, Barry, this guy deserves a win, so let the guy hook up with a tavern wench.
You're out of luck, Joe. It's Obama playing this time around, and he is like the fun police when it comes to banging anyone that isn't a muscle mommy or elven twink.
Well, actually, no. I am going to let him have this one before I send him back to the circle.
What? Joe, quick, get the Skinwalker spray. I think Obama has been replaced sometime during this Blood Mage quest.
Yeah, that or he fell for the blood mage possession from earlier and is now enthralled.
No dickheads, I am not enthralled or replaced by any blood mages or skinwalkers. I am doing this because not only does it make it easier to get him to cooperate back to the circle, but there's also some dialogue enrichment for later choosing this path. It's the same reason I hooked up with Marty in our very first episode. Content is king boys regardless of my personal feelings.
Normally I would want to free this guy, but I agree with Anders that he really can't live on his own and has no real concept of the real world. I'm pretty sure he would get swindled out of all his money in a week, so letting him get laid, and then returning him to the circle is the best compromise.
With how giddy this dude is, I bet he was skipping towards the gallows before like 10 Templars tackled him to the ground.
No, they definitely tackled him. This is Kirkwall, and he was a wanted apostate. Well, that calls it for half of the main quests in Act 3. But for reference for the viewers, there are 2 additional outcomes of the quest in regards to Emile's fate. We can send him to the Templars without getting laid, which earns rivalry from everyone. The path we choose earns some rivalry from Anders, but not as much if we didn't let him have fun and earns Aveline, Isabella, and interestingly Sebastian approval. And finally, if we set him free without returning him to the circle. And if we do this, we can try to lie to Meredith and tell her he is dead, to which she will doubt Hawk's story. But not press him about it and still give him the reward. If Fenris is in the party with less than 100% rivalry, he will expose Hawk's lie, and Meredith will send Templars to intercept his ship.
Absolutely based that Fenris stands 10 toes down on capturing the robes, even ignoring Hawk's wishes. I wish companions did that shit more often.
Companions defying the player's wishes does happen rarely in any BioWare game, probably because designers are afraid of conflict with the squad mates players have spent a lot of time getting to know and befriend over the course of the game.
Huon and Evelina were entirely innocent then.
I knew there's a reason I like this guy, even if he is a husk in terms of content. The human nobility and mage hate stays winning. Also, the healer robe is really lucky Meredith is in a good mood today, because I don't see how the hell he avoided the public execution here. Meredith would not let a mage talk to her like that.
I think it's safe to say Meredith is either scared of the champion, or Meredith is trying extra hard to get Hawk on her side by any means necessary.
What we think is best for this city, Mage. That is all we can do.
With telling Anders to shut up, we have successfully maxed out his rivalry. Before we leave, though, we have another enigma of Kirkwall to grab in the room next to Meredith's room on the torch. It's one of 2 that we can grab this episode. The other we will grab during Vengeance's quest. Before we start our companion quest streak, I have one final errand to pick up.
Oh damn, that's the most hidden yet.
So did we stop by the Hawk Manor just to have an intellectual conversation with Carter here?
Well, yes, but in addition to picking up 2 gold rewards from Meredith and Emile's dad on our desk, we also have a letter from one final Origins companion we can meet up with now on our way to Aveline's quest.
Big bro Alistair. Oh, fuck, I was hoping for Mommy Morrigan, but it's damn good to see the true king of Ferelden, too.
Oh, damn.
damn big guy. I missed you at the grand battle. I thought invading your dreams and showing you pictures of Morrigan would have made you pull up.
It's damn good to see our king again, boys. Not sure this is intentional, but his first scene in Origins is him arguing with a mage. Now, his first scene in 2 is him arguing with a templar in defense of the mages. It's a subtle amount of character growth, but still nice to see.
God damn it, the crown is making our big bro soft. Now, I have to pick between Mommy Meredith and my big bro. This must be how children of divorce feel like.
Honestly, it's good to just see him take a stance on things, since he was incredibly neutral in Origins over every decision besides the Red Cliff incident.
Of course, you would say that, Sleepy. Also, while we are fangirling over Alistair, Barack is drooling over seeing Tegan again in back-to-back episodes.
It is damn good to see you again. Of course, Tegan he, Ima, Uma, but I'm really here at the end of the day for the lore and special interactions. Besides, my girl Aveline has enough excitement for the both of us.
What an honor it is to meet you.
Well, you could, but you'd be the first today.
I fought at Ostagar. What happened there was a great tragedy.
Yes, it was.
He damn well shouldn't be.
Oh Jesus, here we go again. I didn't even know Alistair has a line about Loghain surviving. Also, Alistair is definitely going to tell POTUS he saw Anders next time they catch up.
Weren't you? That's the rumor. Huh. I guess we get around.
So, you're a king now. Moving up in the world.
Isabella, right? You look different.
I like how the developers can own up to the characters looking different because of the engine change between the trilogy.
Also, there is a bit of lore inconsistency there, at least as far as our world state goes. Alistair wasn't there when we met Isabella with Jeven. Wynne and Morrigan, if I remember right.
Yeah, I am sure Wynne told him how Isabella looks, but there's no way he would be able to recognize her 9 years later without meeting her in person. I am sure that just like Liliana, the reason they have unique dialogue in the first place is that Alistair and the Warden can have a threesome with Isabella if a female Warden is in a relationship with a hardened Alistair.
Holy shit, I knew Alistair had that dog in him, but banging the Queen of the Pirates and the hero of Ferelden at the same time is goddamn legendary status.
Well, back to the game, there's 2 interesting lore points that this conversation covers, besides, of course, just seeing Alistair settle into his role as king with a sense of pride. The first is the scrapped idea that Orlais was planning a war soon with Ferelden following Empress Celine's failed attempt at marrying Calian, and of course Ferelden's weakened state after the 5th Blight.
I guess a small little thing like a civil war between the Empress and the Duke got in the way of the French's plan to invade Sucks to Suck.
I would say Ferelden could take them again, like they did last time. But we are missing both Merrick and Loghain now for Ferelden's defense, so they would really heavily be reliant on POTUS and Alistair to save them. The Dwarverman Alliance wouldn't help here since the warriors can't leave the deep roads if there's not a blight.
Yeah, Ferelden would have lost some land if Orlais did want to invade, but thankfully the Civil War. And the Venatori destroyed any plans of that happening. The other 2 possible outcomes here have to do with the origin-specific boon, specifically the Circle Mage boon, or the Dalish Elf boon. If you let the Circle run themselves, Alistair will comment that he has been getting more blowback from Orlais, and the chantry about the independent circle in Ferelden causing even more friction with Meredith and Orlais. If we created a sanctuary for the Dalish in Ferelden, and bring Meryl with us, she will ask about it, to which Alistair says it has been going poorly due to frictions between humans and elves, but that he is going to do everything he can to keep the promise he made to our warden.
Thank God we didn't try to free the Circle or give the Dalish free real estate like you 2 liberals wanted during character creation. We have enough problems without them getting the freedom to bide their time and create their own empire to plague the world with. I'm glad instead we let the dwarves flourish. They have had it hard longer than the vegan elves or the rogues.
That's right. Swooping is bad.
Don't be such a downer, Donald. It's nice the game at least tried to remember some of the boons the Warden asked for, even if we have to headcanon how some of them went like what POTUS chose.
I just appreciate the lore enrichment that carried over from Origins whenever we can get it, even if it's scraps. Also, as we are going to see in a minute, there is a side storyline that Aveline and Hawke had the possibility of returning to Ferelden by Alistair's personal offer.
Well, we already said we don't do sloppy seconds on this channel, and that includes Hawke returning to Ferelden. We are Kirkwall for life now. That being said, it was good seeing our big bro possibly for the last time in our series. I already know that we left POTUS's homeland in good hands now.
We might see him one more time, but if not, Godspeed, you kingly bastard.
We should be getting back.
We should. The hero of Ferelden should be back in Denerim by now.
You're always so formal. He has a name.
Thank you, Alistair. His name is POTUS, and no one should ever forget it.
I guess that means Alistair and POTUS made up after the lands meet, and he's checking in on him in between his Morrigan family simulator.
Of course, POTUS made him king and helped him with his grind set. It's only natural he checks in from time to time.
I just realized Zeveron, Alistair, and my beautiful bard Liliana. were all in Kirkwall at the exact same time. Do you think they had a little reunion before they all went their separate ways?
Don't forget Shale originally was supposed to be here, so originally half of the crew of Origins could have canonically been at Kirkwall for a POTUS reunion.
All they needed was to bring Mommy Morrigan with us, too. And it would be perfect also. Speaking of mommy waifus, why the hell is the healer robe lecturing my beautiful pirate queen?
Even loose pirates need to feel the hot, tight sting of justice's truth.
Heavy pause.
Wait, how the hell can you hear what's going on in my head, Obama?
I can't, but again, it's like a sixth sense with you two when something says is happening.
Good to see Aveline is finally comfortable with her guard captain role. Also, Barry, this quest gets into some pretty heavy themes of Aveline's and Donnic's marriage, just in case you needed a trigger warning about that.
Typical liberals putting trigger warnings for everything. Just go to therapy, 5 head.
Thank you, Donald. And no worries, Joe, it has been over 7 episodes since the incident.
You are just running off fumes from the kiss still with her, aren't you, Barry?
Oh yeah, big time.
You never said how
well, you got a kiss on the mouth. Meanwhile, Donnic has been doing an Aegican-level expedition of her deep roads in fantasy France. How does that make you feel?
Okay, admittedly, that was a pretty good innuendo. Isabella taught you well. But Donald, please shut the fuck up before this easily becomes the hardest episode in the series. I am over it as long as I can leave all the implications suspended in stasis. Anyways, a lot of these companion quests are coded weird you not only need to complete on the loose, but you need to talk to her first, then go to Hawk Manor to receive a letter, then come back. So we are going to cut out the middleman and get straight into the content.
Who the fuck is this triangle-looking ass Templar? They seriously couldn't bring Thrask or Cullen in here, you know, somebody we would recognize? Hell, I will even take that bootlicker Sir Karras from Act 1, at least we recognize him.
Joe, stop roasting him just because he is hardworking and a productive member of Kirkwall society, unlike your ice cream-eating unemployed ass.
But well, Cullen doesn't care enough about politics to do this himself. Emmerich is dead. And Sir Karras has a chance at dying in Act 1 too. Now, Thrask would have been likely, but he is not a Meredith supporter, so he would likely just warn Aveline. And there's another problem with that timeline-wise, so really to not overburden the models in Act 3, we just have Greg the Templar as our pseudo-antagonist.
Giving him a name is devious work, Obama. You just relegated him to being one day from retirement with his girl before the Mage Templar War happens and a blood mage uses him to summon a snoo demon.
You realize the random shit you guys say has no impact on the game like 95% of the time?
Hey, you never know when the other 5% will come up, Obama. We have to stay on our toes.
All right, then, well, to no one's surprise, I am standing behind my girl. And these false accusations, because truthfully, there shouldn't be a reason to trust these accusations in the first place, regardless of your personal feelings about Aveline. She doesn't just sit back and do nothing, even if her punishment doesn't always fit the crime. Plus, we would have to take Cullen's word over the word of Hawk's oldest friend.
Good. Because there's no way
I'm guessing this is the choice if you just want to be an asshole to Aveline for no good reason. Or if you really have been rushing through this game. I know if you pick the top option, Aveline forces you to go with her to Donnic's patrol. But you have to do that anyway to progress.
Why is Greg Templar just staring at us? Was he watching the whole...
Holy shit!
Let's fast forward past the Templar who unlocked instant transmission. Now we can start talking about the quest points here that diverge based on our choices in Act 1 and Act 2 concerning Aveline.
If I had a nickel every time Donnic was getting his shit rocked by bandits at night, I would have 2 nickels that I could pay another homeless bandit to jump this guy to make it a full 3 times.
So we have been doing 100% of everything we can in this game, so naturally we have done everything concerning Aveline up till now. So that means regardless of what we choose here, we have unlocked the good ending for Aveline, meaning she is beloved by her guards and has stakes in the city that won't sway her to leave her new life. If we didn't do her Act 1 quest looking into the former Captain Jeven, this quest just doesn't exist for us in Act 3. Because Aveline dug into Jeven herself, he was discovered later, and is still likely serving jail time.
So does that mean not doing her Act 1 quest automatically gets us the good ending?
Probably not, it just means this problem comes up later after Hawk. And the squad leave Kirkwall, so now she will have to deal with all of this without Hawk's help. The third outcome of this quest is if we do her Act 1 quest. But don't complete her Act 2 quest and get her married to Donnic.
This is also known as the Barry route.
As much as I don't like being cucked, I wouldn't go this route on a normal playthrough. It's emotionally very hard on Aveline. In this scene here, for example, instead of Donnic being a simp for Aveline and glazing her, he will be extremely cold and distant to her and actually criticize Aveline for being too tough on the guard, firing guards who don't take enough risks or are strong enough in her eyes.
So the implication is if Aveline doesn't get laid in Act 2, she becomes a gigantic hard ass and a fire-happy boss? We are getting way too close to real life with that one.
I think we are supposed to look at it as she loses that personal connection with her guards as people and focuses entirely on her career instead. But yeah, that's another way to put it, I suppose.
Every guard chooses the patrol they want. My wife promotes from the bold, not the reckless. Action is up.
There's a few other changes to this quest. However, we will cover that as we go along for now. Let's leave Donnic in better shape than last time we pulled his ass out of a bandit attack.
Oh, low blow, Barry. I knew the sassy part of you would come out the more time we spend with this guy. Let's give the girls some eye candy this episode and head back to Cullen.
It's been a while since we have seen this guy. Any new fresh drama about his voice actor, boys? It's probably one of the last few times we can talk about it.
Doing another Google search now, there's no updates at all. The media's been radio silent about the situation since January, likely because nothing has even gone to trial yet, and we don't know what will come of that.
I am sure we will have a final answer before Cullen's character is retired Inquisition, is where he finally becomes a squad mate.
Good point, Joe. Even if 2 is finishing soon, Inquisition will be a greater dragon to slay. Also, speaking of Inquisition, we have gotten a few questions about why Cullen was never added to the romance competition, since he is the only one we excluded. Originally, we just didn't include him, because the same episode we talked about drama was the same episode we started the romance competition. But because I don't think some of us could be mature enough to romance Cullen without joking about the RL relationship drama and get us demonetized, just know that if you do like Cullen's romance, there is nothing wrong. With that, we just personally don't want to participate in it ourselves.
I have no idea what you mean, Barry. We are the pinnacle of maturity.
It has been...
Speaking of someone I would participate with, here's Guardsman Brennan here. Obama, you play good cop and I will play bad cop, where I tie her down and...
Oh, Jesus Christ, Donald, please. Do not finish that thought. We are moving on. So the next big change, if we hadn't done her Act 2 quest, is Brennan will reveal that she kept it from Aveline to protect the guardsmen that had defected to Jeven's cause, since Aveline not only fired several guards, but she also never connected with the guards personally. So some of the guards never believed his corruption stories, and others want Jeven in charge, because while corrupt, he paid the guards better through his corrupt kickbacks. Brennan and Donnic, however, are always loyal to Aveline and stand with her, despite maybe not liking her personally.
That makes sense. Jeven tried to get both of them killed, and Donnic even has the injury to constantly remind him of what a bad boss he had. A 15% pay increase isn't worth getting jumped.
I respect the guards that just want to make money moves, but siding against the big girl when you know you'd have to go through the champion of Kirkwall is not worth the bad guys.
Instead of the guards, for us, it's just mercenaries that are left over from Patrice's zealots. Now that the Qunari are gone, they needed a new target to hate on, or their life just wouldn't have purpose. Also, to beat a dead horse, yes, even if you side with Patrice, the zealots move on, and you have to fight them here.
Goodbye, Brennan. If you ever want a night out, hit me up. Well, we have had a pretty low kill count this episode. It will be nice to kill a familiar target, and maybe Jeven's grind set will lead to some good loot, too.
The champion?
Finally, some genuine fear. When Hawk arrives, it's been too many sacrifices into the Hawk meat grinder to get this kind of reaction.
It is painfully ironic that he calls Ferelden a wealthy foreign nation, not only because we just learned they are recovering from a blight, but just 6 years ago Fereldans were seen as freeloaders, and a lesser class, the only jobs they could get are working a mine filled with dragons and zombies.
I guess Hawk and Aveline really did turn people's opinions on Fereldans around. It's hard to blame Ferelden anymore now that they saved the city and run one of the few offices of power still functioning. Also, insulting Aveline's name not only doesn't work because she doesn't care about it, but aren't like half the nobles in Kirkwall or Legion. I am pretty sure the Orlesian influence is a permanent part of Kirkwall society, even the Guard, and Viscount are based off Orlesian power structure.
Goddamn, we really came full circle with that. I am proud of you, Joe. That was episode 1. Anyways, I am going to let my girl handle this one.
The Guard know this, and none stand with you.
Damn, Chad, is this guy real?
Alone. This is no rebellion. It is delusion.
She really is roasting him with zero pushback from Jeven Dam, bro. I can't even help you as a fellow grind setter.
I need Bill to bring the popcorn. I can just rest it on Jeven's head since he is cooked.
That's why she's the goat, boys.
You shall have less.
All right, before you blow your load over the Aveline glaze, why don't you go ahead and tell us the final differences in this quest, if Aveline didn't rail Donnic. And no, I don't mean the other way around.
Very graphic, Donald. Thank you, but sure thing. So viewers, this is the main reason you don't skip the Act 2 quest, even if you're a Aveline enjoyer like me. As we covered, some of the guards will be a part of the resistance along with the racists. Aveline's speech, if the guards are among them, is far different. Instead of insulting Jeven, she will put the blame on her failings and shortcomings, and that it's clear she needs to do better and listen to her men. But she will only do that if they stand with her against Jeven. Hawk can also boast to be the champion, which will diffuse the guards as well, and even has a different line if he sided with the zealots in Act 2, but Aveline will get upset as it will prove Jeven's claims of being a puppet of the champion right.
So basically, no matter what option we choose, the outcome isn't too bad since the guards still leave and the fight ends up the same.
Not exactly. There's one more outcome. If you don't choose the Hawk or Aveline interrupt Hawk will explain that the guards standing with Jeven are already too far gone and need to be put down. Aveline will be left speechless after this and will decide to leave her station as guard captain as soon as the mage templar situation is resolved. Even Donnic, when he sees this, is left hurt. She then states that she is going to join Alistair's army in Ferelden. But this becomes non-canon, probably because without Hawke or Meredith, Aveline felt she needed to stay after all to maintain order.
So basically, no matter what Aveline is, guard captain for life, it still doesn't seem that bad, though. I imagine she is more depressed with that other outcome.
Well, hold on, there's one final consequence of not doing her Act 2 quest, Donald. You see, the guard is still loyal to Meredith since she is acting Viscount. Even Aveline can even default to Meredith if her approval is low enough. If Hawke sides with the mages, however. And Aveline isn't married to Donnic, the guards will join the Templars in the fight, and Aveline will have to put down more of her own men, essentially reinforcing how little she inspired her men, having to cut them down twice in the same month.
All right, that settles it. This girl can get absolutely devastated if you don't get her laid, and that just reinforces that siding with the Templars is the best ending.
Only if you do a very specific set of circumstances. But goddamn Barry, I see why even you don't want to not do the Act 2 cut quest now. Aveline can get absolutely destroyed. And it's doubled by the fact she probably felt guilty losing men under her command during Ostagar.
Damn, I didn't even think about that, though she doesn't talk much about her time at Ostagar, but I imagine that does add to her doubts. Good catch, Joe.
Hate to interrupt the lore dump turned stroke fest, but you're down to Hawke and Aveline again and are fully surrounded. Are you about to tie with me here, Obama?
I was really hoping my Lord Dumps would distract everyone from that. But no, I am not clapped here, it's fine. The reason this is so close is just like the Antivan Crow we fought with Zevran Jeven, has a hacked class. Jeven is a boss-ranked assassin. And Commander, however, the emphasis here is unlike Nuncio, he is a boss, not a lieutenant, which makes him immune to certain stuns, and way more health. He also does enough damage that even Aveline can't solo tank on Nightmare, but now that he is dead, we can cut ahead while we kill the fodder and wrap it up.
Once again, Obama is never punished for anything, goddammit. I hope we get some good goddamn rewards for this quest at least, boys.
I'd argue we do. We get the final piece of new armor with the diversification mod for Aveline with my personal favorite color scheme, and the best stats for the armor available to us too. We also get a good rogue gauntlet, the Hands of Glory from the chest up ahead too.
Well, now that Jeven is dead, a thought just occurred to me, boys. What the hell was this dude's plan anyway? Because if he was trying to get his job back like he was talking about, it wasn't working. The Templars didn't want to replace Aveline, they wanted her and the job removed.
Well, that's actually a good point. Cullen mentions he's being told to vacate and take control of Aveline's job himself. Not only was there no mention of a replacement, but Cullen is a Ferelden too, so that doesn't really help Jeven's case. I suppose it's possible that he is petty enough to just want to drop Aveline to his level by getting her killed and fired. But he gets the guards to join him by promising pay increases. So how was he going to get that to work? Either he's an idiot, or he made a protest wanting one thing, but ended up getting something different.
Well, Jeven is petty enough to want to drag Aveline down to his level, and be satisfied with that, but maybe he was optimistic that the Templars would be willing to place a guard captain that was less independent.
There isn't a man or woman here who wouldn't follow you through the void.
All right, Donnic may be a bottom on and off duty, but he definitely has a way with words, and is a good partner that my big girl deserves. Now we can put an end note to her character with one final conversation.
There is something else. Come back and talk to me.
Well, first we have to let the besties have some girl time together. This is still tied with Hawke and Varric for the best friendships in the series, in my opinion.
Bold statement, Sleepy, but it's definitely close. I would say Ogren and POTUS are also in the running for best friends, but that might be more niche.
If Isabella never came back during the Qunari invasion, Varric will be here instead. It's friendly, but not nearly as endearing as with Isabella.
That makes sense. Varric and Aveline have a close business relationship when he eventually becomes Viscount.
It's good to not only see Aveline have a social life, but it's nice Isabella also has made some friends in the series. After spending so much time alone all these years, they might try to kill each other, but they still need each other. It's like a normal family gathering, boys.
All right, I don't know what family gatherings you are going to, Donald, but fair enough, it was otherwise well put. Well, the final conversation with Aveline is a nice comparison to where she was when we met her 7 years ago versus where she is now. Since she has a husband and confidence in her job, she has no interest in returning to her old life in Ferelden. However, if her time in Kirkwall wasn't as grounding, she will want to retreat to her former life.
Yeah, that's great, Obama, but let's get into something more dramatic. Doesn't she rock Hawke's shit if you go down the rivalry path?
Okay, thank you, Donald. So if you go down the rivalry path with Aveline, she will outright call Hawke a bandit that stumbled their way to the champion role. and will only follow them for the good of the city. If Hawk pushes Aveline, more calling her a coward, she will bum rush Hawk to the ground and throw a few punches before getting off him. So Hawk will just sort of tank the punches and get back up, and Aveline feels better after finally rocking Hawk's shit and thanks him for pushing her so far and see that she can come out the other side okay. Ironically, her fighting you leads to the ideal outcome for the rivalry path.
Well, thanks for filling up the tank role in this game that we were severely lacking with POTUS gone big girl. And thanks for being our future Viscount for the best city, too.
Keep cucking Barack with Donick and sharing drinks for the Pirate Queen, and we will be square big girl.
Thank you for everything. I have so much because of you. I'm here for you, Hawk. And for myself.
Well, looks like we aren't done with Aveline yet, since her and Vengeance have an argument to settle. Also, the blue tint is the final armor piece for Aveline, and it's my personal favorite.
The healer robe is really here threatening the big girl like she wouldn't suplex his ass if push came to shove.
I am not going to give Vengeance the short end of the power scaling, but we literally just did a whole side quest that he was a part of that showed how Aveline is not letting the Templars have complete control of the guard office, and yet he is still burning bridges with one of the few people that can help him out if Meredith comes for him.
Between ruling the city and torturing mages, it's a wonder she has time to keep that sword so shiny.
I mean, at this point, Meredith knows Anders' face. And could easily find where he lives. I think she is just hesitant to do this because it would fully turn Hawk against her side. That's the whole threat she mentions anyway if she can't get to our sibling or Hawk personally. Still, I won't say he hasn't had it rough. The mage underground he has been working on did get dismantled.
As much risk as you. I've never understood how you stand against your own kind. The Blight was stopped only with the aid of 2 mages. One an apostate.
Wait, 2 mages helped POTUS? Mommy Morrigan, sure, but saying the mage grandma helped us end the Blight is over-exaggerating. Morrigan is the one who saved our life.
All right, Donald, I know you aren't that big a fan of Wynne, but she traveled with POTUS just as much as every other squad mate did. And don't forget the mages were one of the 4 armies that stopped the Blight, too.
Yeah, and that was both of your faults. I had no say in that. So just like the healer robe, all I have to say is, you better be prepared for a storm to brew through the skies.
Also, just like Aveline, we had to leave to Hawk Manor after talking to him and then come back to start this quest great game design.
At least with Fenris, we can hop right into his quest, and we already did the back and forth with Isabella, so this should be the last time. Anyways, I guess it's time we make a piss potion, everybody.
Unfortunately, he is not just joking about the piss potion, viewers. One of the ingredients is a crystal powder formed from concentrated manure and urine. Probably the first heads up that these ingredients are not going to be used for a potion that should be drank.
No, clearly Anders just wants to tap into his inner survivor and drink his own piss. That's a perfectly normal activity.
I'm not surprised that he would. After all, he is going to lie to us. Remember, viewers, if he casts spells, he is a liar. They all do that, and sometimes it even breaks your heart.
Jesus, Donald, are you actually crying right now?
No, I'm not. Shut the fuck up. It was a year ago now. Why would I care about Mommy Morrigan leaving that one time?
It's okay, you can just let it out because you are right. Anders continues the trend that we will also continue in Inquisition. And that's the fact in every Dragon Age game, an apostate in your party will lie to you and keep a few key plot points about themselves, or what they know until it is too late.
Justice and I are free. And we can take our rightful place among free mages.
I mean, even that boom comment was too on the nose.
Isn't Drakestone used as a building material normally like in Inquisition? How would they use it in alchemy?
The materials look different, but so does everything in Inquisition, so we are led to believe they are the same. I suppose Drakestone is just very flexible. But it's also possible they changed the lore of the ingredients, since in this game it's something that only grows in areas that dragons occupy. And in Inquisition, it tends to grow in the deep roads. I will leave that up to the players to decide. Anyways, these ingredients grow in the Darktown sewers and Bone Pit. So let's move on to the obvious first choice and grab the piss rocks.
Oh boy, and now the healer robe is coming for Sleepy Joe. He is biting both hands that feed him today, I see.
What the fuck did you just say about my girl, you spirit-loving freak? Don't be upset because your man got lobotomized while my girl is healthy and happy.
Is your justice any different?
You tell him, sweetie, fuck off, Hinge.
Okay, Joe, deep breaths. We have a lot of triggering content to get through today with Vengeance, since he is a problematic king. So let's not get triggered too early now.
Now, fuck that, do it, Joe. Give in to the dark side and let the hate flow through you. Also, is this a repeat map or not? Do the viewers and I need to take another shot?
This map is a repeat of the Docks map, where Bonnie Lem is located, as well as the Act 3 gift for Isabella. However, we haven't come to this map for any quest to my knowledge or on screen, so the viewers are safe in the meantime. We're back to the game, though, that Anders' encounter about our chosen romance tells us a few things about Anders' personal opinion on the squad. Naturally, he will confront Hawk about Meryl, as well as Fenris, if they aren't in a relationship with either. However, if Hawk is in a relationship with Isabella and Sebastian, he has nothing to say. Also, unlike Varric, Anders seems far less concerned about Hawk, and more so angry about Meryl and Fenris in these confrontations. It's fairly clear this is another sign of Justice taking further control, and this is Justice's concerns about those two, rather than Anders' own concern.
Unusually based of Justice to approve of Isabella. I guess you have some taste in waifus after all.
The girl has some very large reasons to not hate, like her views on mages, for example.
Well, in the meantime, while we fight through some dwarves, why don't we go over a few super thanks we got from last episode, boys? Joe, why don't you go first and focus on another elf romance?
Sure thing, Barry. Just as common as finding dwarves underground, we have 2 more donations. From Robert Wadsworth for his favorite egg, thank you. For the double $50 donation, giving a big howl to the Dreadwolf, may he. And the other based elf romance choices carry you to Victory Solace is still tied up with Josie as always, and it's in very large part to your support. Thank you so much for your consistent support. It really has helped us out through the entire series. And as always, good luck in the romance competition, man.
All right, sure, the egg is still competitive, but last episode's clear winner was Josephine in terms of quantity and donation amount, and as such, Josie has overcome the egg once again. Thank you to the $50 from Corey Radcliffe. Being a #1 supporter for Josie is incredibly based, and we appreciate all of your support during this series through your views, comments, and donations. We also have a $25 and $20 donation from Austin in support of Josie, despite the egg. We also did listen to you changing your donations from Cass and Josie, and we found all the ones we could, which gave Josie a pretty massive lead at the cost of Cass dropping somewhat. Thank you for your support and your active role in our Discord community. It means a lot to us. Finally, we have a $10 donation for Josie from Chills Sport Fanatic, a very familiar face in the community. Thank you for all your support. Admittedly, you glazed elves in your comment question, but still donated for Josie, so I guess you stick neutral on the morality scale. As always, thank you all for the support and good luck in the waifu wars.
Finally, our biggest donator of the episode comes once again from Anti-Jua Tasniemi, who praised Joe for his singing as well as splitting the donation between Cass. And Josie, which I greatly appreciate, still giving my girl some love as well as another based human romance choice. Thank you for being our longest donator, man. We really appreciate your time and money, and good luck with all the human supporters of the romance competition as always.
Well, 2 minutes later, and we are still fighting through the lyrium smugglers in the piss sewers, and now we even have some dirty robes trying to attack Hawk. You think these robes had the same idea as the healer robe, and they are just trying to make their own piss potions to use against the Templars?
Considering they are hostile to us. And Anders' fellow mages, I imagine it's more likely they are revolutionists that have illegal or blood mage intentions. Well, these fights have all been easy money so far. And we have our last bit of combat up in the Bone Pit, so let's grab the second to last enigma of Kirkwall during the act and move on to the Bone Pit. Also, I am going to swap Meryl for Sebastian for 2 reasons that will make sense later.
You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. We still haven't cleared up the mine. That attack was weeks ago, since it was before we did the DLCs, and it still looks like a total shit show.
We don't have anyone to really blame for that, other than Hawk being too busy to take care of the mine. It's sort of like a teenager taking weeks to clean up his own room. Also, oh cool, it's more spiders, boys, bring it on.
Oh damn, Joe, you really have come a long way from panicking and rolling on the floor when a spider would appear. I mean, it all stems from an unhealthy obsession with Meryl. But character growth is still growth none the same.
Yeah, good work, Joe. You piss your pants on my White House carpet 33% less of the time. Anyways, Obama, speaking of piss, we already know what the Salapetra is, but what the hell is Drake Stone? Is it just a crafting material, or is it some kind of alchemy mix of dragons and rocks?
All right, that is definitely a preferred topic change to piss, at least Donald. And I do actually have another obscure observation that gives us a third red flag that Anders isn't telling us the whole story. Both of the ingredients are actually references to real-life elements, although you would have to have a degree of chemistry knowledge to know this. Salapetra's name is a reference to saltpeter or saltpeter, which is more commonly known as potassium nitrate. Now, Drake stones are more obscure, but their look and growth in caves makes them a fair comparison to sulfur. Both nitrate and sulfur are key components in fireworks, and gunpowder another not-so-clear hint that something more is going on.
Well, there you go, viewers. I bet you never thought you would learn 2 chemistry lessons in Dragon Age 2. But that's just the pure acoustic power of this series. Anyways, we made it to the final fight of the episode, and I am amazed you are so damn calm, Joe. I would have thought you would be in a full-on panic mode again over the big-ass spider.
Hey, Josh, Hagaga, the zug, 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 Nash.
All right, that is far more what I expected to happen. At least this is probably the last giant spider in the series we have to fight until Inquisition. Anyways, Donald, there is a key reason I brought Sebastian along here, and since you're the one that likes him, do you want to go over what we cooked up?
Sure thing, Barack. So viewers, you guys asked about it and we delivered. We have a tactics build for Sebastian that is distinctly different from Varric's archer build for your human noble archer needs. We made a tactical setup that helps highlight his admittedly overpowered specialization. So as always, the first thing you do is activate speed for the extra damage. Then when being attacked by a melee attack, activate Guardian Angel. Then to add some debuffs, set Fatiguing Fog and Miasmic Flask when enemies are clustered with at least 2 enemies. Then have Rush activate when surrounded by at least 2 enemies. Then when an ally is at half health, activate back-to-back for some extra support. Then have Arrow of Judgment and Wounding Arrow on the enemy that Hawk is targeting to increase the damage done on them. Finally, have Pinning Shot used on an elite or higher or a magic and ranged attack to take out the more dangerous threats.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Donald. We now covered every single companion in the game with a meta build to boot. We might make a small 10-minute compilation down the line and add it to the end of the playlist for your convenience. But now that Donald's nerdy optimization has brought me back, we can go back to the end of the quest with more drama.
No way you are calling my builds nerdy optimization after everything you and Obama has done since the start of this series. Also, remember again, viewers, if they cast spells, they lie simple as that never trust a robe. The evils that they conceive are beyond our understanding, and everyone deserves to humahanga baga baga.
Donald, are you good?
All is well, all is fine. Please ask your local mages if they need any piss rocks.
At this point, I am just waiting for justice to appear during a presidential address.
All right, viewers, the levels of manipulation that go through this next scene are not only blatant, but intentional hell. This level of guilt tripping is so real I am convinced someone in the writing team was going through a toxic relationship at the time. I mean, hell, if Donald wouldn't shit all over this, I would put a content warning about emotional manipulation before diving into it.
You're damn right I would. The world is PC enough already. We don't need trigger warnings for emotional shit.
Welcome back, Double D. Good work using that awaken on him, Barry.
So no matter where our approval lies, we cannot get Anders to reveal what he wants to do at the Chantry or why we needed these ingredients. He will just recite the same platitudes he always has. If you have ever cared about mages, you will do this. Or if my friendship meant anything to you, then you will do this clearly sketchy thing for me, while also saying it's because I don't want to involve you in any blowback. But clearly that is more so a lie, so Hawk can't put a stop to his plans. The worst outcome is if you are in a relationship with Anders, he will still not tell you what his plan is. But he will pull the classic, if you can't do this for me, then you never loved me.
That cut's only slightly less than when your wife says you never loved her for not getting her a snack at 7-Eleven after she told you she doesn't want anything.
Well, I am sure Baraka is doing this for the lore and not because he has any dreams of a big explosive ending in his pants instead.
Despite Sebastian saying he will have no part in this, he doesn't rat on Anders for some reason. And you can still call him back into the party. He just leaves in this moment to give us a message.
Jesus Christ, the lack of communication in this squad is astounding. I know this is the edgy wastelands of the 2010s, but you all could at least try to act more in your 30s, not like my kids did when they were 15.
All right, everyone, this is our very last conversation with Evelina, so let's get all the roasts out of our system so we don't seem too tone-deaf for the ending.
All right, well, this chick simply put needs to shit or get off the pot. Imagine if there was a powerful figure in Ferelden during the Landsmeet who said, both sides make good points, so I won't pick any side. They would be a clear-cut villain. Even this cutscene here about her position is just, oh, both sides make good points. It's so hard to choose. Meanwhile, people are already ready to kill each other over their chosen side. Being a fence-sitter must feel real good as Orsino loses more and more mages to a radical faction of the robes that are bent on freeing all of them by killing your old ass.
If there's two things mages and templars can agree on, it's that Evelina and Meredith need to step down. Meredith has insanity on her side to explain her crimes. But Evelina is of sound mind and still allows the city to get worse. In Anders' Act 2 quest, we found out she knew the Gallows Templars were breaking Chantry law by making innocent mages tranquil. But she did nothing. She did nothing about Meredith's abuse of power and not electing a Viscount to bring stability. She could have gone to the Divine for assistance, even urged her to not bring war when she brought assistance. But she didn't. She doesn't deserve what happens in the end. But I can feel Anders and a lot of people's frustration here.
Not everyone wants Mommy Meredith gone, but I'll allow it sleepy.
Your soul is troubled, child. I hope you found a balm for it here.
Haha, do you guys get it? A bomb in this place sounds real close to a bomb in this place. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, thank you, Justice. We all definitely needed that explanation. While Vengeance does a 180 turn, now accepting his role as a spirit to perform a single function, we have all the setup we need to have one more rivalry confrontation with Anders and convince him to change paths.
You know, just a quick aside, I know Anders says he learned this recipe from Tevinter's. But who else do we know that has a connection to Anders and a love of his own explosion recipes?
Oh shit, you think Dworkin made this recipe himself or one of his students, and Anders just replicated it.
Actually cooking with that one, Joe, I love it. It's especially funny because that means Obama doing Dworkin's quest makes him at least partially responsible for what happens.
I do not like that implication at all. Can we move on, please? So this thank you from Vengeance only happens if you are not already maxed out on friendship with Vengeance.
What the fuck does he mean by it will be midnight soon, and why did he smirk like that when he said it? Varric, for the love of Sandal, get out of there.
Looks like Anders is giving away valuable possessions to his friends. First Sir Pounce-a-Lot, and now this.
You know that fate of Sir Pounce-a-Lot wasn't originally supposed to happen. The developers wanted Sir Pounce-a-Lot to come with Anders and then live in his clinic with him. They didn't do this because they not only had to make a cat model in game, but a model that you could pet and walk around the clinic, which 16 months did not leave enough time for.
Another massive fumble for BioWare. Sir Pounce-a-Lot was a legend.
Well, before we get into the massive reveal of the rivalry ending for Anders, let me go over the friendship path since it's far shorter. If you have been a friend to Anders, he will approach you after talking to Varric, thanking you for always being a good friend, and lamenting about how justice will still be there after he is gone. He then keeps harping on the topic of death and just says it's too late to change things now, and that justice and vengeance are the same coin to him now.
So frequently talking about when he is gone plus giving away sentimental items to close friends are two major warning signs of someone who plans to take their own life. And going the friendship route with Anders means that Hawk, intentional or no, has fully supported Justice's hold over him, and his plan for how he can change the world, which means Anders has never had any pullback or breaks to stop him. But with rivalry, however, Hawk has always been the other side of the scale. And it's why Anders' rivalry path is the most narratively changing companion path and a good contender for the whole series.
I'd argue Isabella has some pretty large shifts too, but Anders was written by the same writer as the main storyline of this game, so I can't say that's a far-off analysis. This guy needs to get goddamn laid or at least pet a cat, though, before he snaps. He is really starting to sound like the main villain, boys.
Even he seems shocked by some of the things he says after he says them. It's almost like you can see the cracks in Anders' armor here, and he's about to poke out for air.
There's still time to stop it.
Yes. Time. Maybe there's still time.
Leave. This does not concern you.
Leave Brittany alone.
And just like that, we can see the real villain of this story, boys, well, besides the writers, that is.
The fact he says he is Anders basically confirms he is doing what he believes Anders' function is under the guise of justice.
Mages are abducted and tortured. Go. Anders has no need of you.
What was I saying?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Donald had a point. The non-blood mage in the party was far more dangerous than the actual blood mage.
Wait, what happened? You said I was right about something?
Damn, you are getting better at snapping him out of this very good work. You know, having blanks in your memory and feeling like less and less yourself is hitting a little too close to home, boys. I get the fear Anders feels here.
Of goddamn course you can relate to the healer robe once again, Sleepy. Why am I not surprised?
Donald, this is the effects of spirit possession after 7 years. And Anders is half your age. I would be far more worried about you right now. Anyways, that calls it for Story Beats this episode, but there's 2 hidden secrets we can show before the episode ends.
Oh, did you finally come up with a Greg Ellis joke?
Wait, holy shit, you can warn Cullen about Anders. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a pretty minor detail since you have to come to Cullen after the first main quest in Act 3, and Anders' quest, but before you finish the second main quest and all to see Cullen, who is a side character in 2 at the end of the day.
Rare elf from Cullen for once. What's the other thing, Barack?
Well, we can go back to the Dew Lancet Manor if we pick the option to let Emile sleep with the tavern girl.
Your grandchild, that's who.
I'm pretty sure they reference this in Mark if you get this outcome before doing the DLC. The Comtesse isn't sure if the baby is really her son's, but she is still integrated with the family and even started filling their summer home with ceramic cows.
We don't ever get confirmation if she is pregnant or not. She could just be pulling a Dwarven noble scam. But it's nice to see the Orlesians still have baby mama drama.
Bonjour à tous, j'ai les résultats du test ADN ici.
No, Maury, the baby isn't born yet. We can't get a DNA test done.
Oh, God damn it. Then how did I get this folder? Bye, boys.
Fuck me, I had a pitch I wanted to give Maury and everything. How the hell is he that fast?
He's just built different, but it's the end of the episode. Sign us out now, Barry.
All right, fine. So viewers, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and answer the comment question down below on who you think the most evil character in the Dragon Age series is. Also, subscribe and join the Discord if you want to be up to date on video uploads and free previews. Next week, Donald is going to wrap up Isabella and Fenris's quests and the second main quest following the conspiracy, so stay tuned. And from all of us here, happy 4th of July.